Hey everybody, this is Perch, and what a news day, huh? New Captain America's, the entire Justice League dying, Daniel Cherry's out at DC, the X-Men, despite really promoting a lot of LGBTQ themes, were not nominated for a single GLAAD award. Hang on, what was that third one again? What? Oh, Daniel Cherry is out at DC. So, what a crazy world we live in. So, let's get to the specifics of the story. Daniel Cherry came in September of last year, September of 2020. You see what the pandemic has done? It's crazy. So after a year and a half, Daniel Cherry is stepping down, exiting. Um, the way that it's being described within Hollywood circles is that he quit, and the comment I got about 10 minutes ago was quit out of frustration. So the role that Daniel Cherry had, per Hollywood Reporter, he inhabited was a newly created position at the time, crafted in response to harsh executive layoffs occurred in 2020 following the departure of Dan Didio. Cherry was part of the mystique, I think, of bringing him in, was that they were bringing in a powerful marketing, somebody with some good digital experience, somebody with some good ability to drive a global adoption, all things that DC desperately needed. And I think Warner Media needed, things that the company had been lagging behind on. Somebody with some modern ideas, somebody with the ability to form relationships that the company didn't have. I said all these things in the video, but people got very wound up in the fact that in Daniel Cherry's LinkedIn profile, it talked about his support for Black Lives Matter, and the entire conversation around Cherry, as at least it was related to Twitter and YouTube, became, is he a social justice guy and what's going on? Um, just as an aside, I think that if you're going to be talking about any executive position in media, in entertainment, you're going to find a lot of the same things. And the goal should be to dig one step deeper to really get into what is this person about? What have they done? What have they produced? Rather than focus on, did they, is there a pressure to put a flag icon in the header of the profile? I know there's more than that, but a lot of people went all in on those parts of the story and ignored the other pieces. Regardless, Cherry said when he came in that he was in rebuilding mode. He wanted to make the business future-proof. Of course, this is before news that AT&T was going to kind of, pawn off Warner Media, and Discovery got involved in other things. And, Cherry, what's interesting is that Cherry is being at least credited with DC having a successful 2021. Now, you may go, what to success? I've been watching videos. They did not have a successful 21. Well, it all depends on how you look at it. They did get a number of their properties pushed globally. They did get the Fortnite relationship, although people have been quick to tell me this afternoon that Cherry had very little to do with it. I've heard an opposite story from, well, we'll get to that in a second, but regardless, it sits somewhere in there. And that there are, he did get a lot of the lines pursued into media. So the goals that he stated he would do, the company did, and arguably strengthened their hand in the process. Now, again, you may state, well, those things aren't comic books. Well, sure, but that's why it's DC's media empire, and it's more than just comic books. And that's specifically what he was, brought in to drive, and he did. So, why? So you see, again, all reports, he was not fired. He was not let go. He quit out of frustration. The frustration, again, speculating here, probably had a decent amount to do with the general uncertainty around the Discovery relationship, what's going to happen, the fact that it seemingly, the mood at DC, and here's where I need to be a little bit careful, but the mood at DC is definitely I'm too tired to pick up the phone, is how it's been described to me from a number of people. And you've seen some of that come out with some statements from Jeff Johns. You've seen statements come out of a variety of people. Now, I've already seen one rumor begin to circulate that Jeff Johns returning to the company is what angered Daniel Cherry, and the fact that, Jeff Johns had some of these allegations that Ray Fisher thrown around. I can tell you with 99.999% certainty that is absolute bullshit. That has nothing to do with anything. And that is not, it's a nonsense rumor. And I can only say by having some interactions. So some cards on the table. I have talked to Daniel Cherry. I have exchanged mails. I've exchanged calls. Weirdly, in the world of, what a strange timing kind of world it is. I had sent Daniel Cherry a mail just on Tuesday, so just 2 days ago, and so seeing this news today, the response or the automated response I got back suggested maybe something was amiss, and or at least I don't know. It's there's my radar was off that something was going on, and here we are. I think that people are speculating where's Cherry going to go next. There's a certain rumor speculating that he's going to go work with Kanye West. Why not? Sure. I'm sure there's a lot of good money to be made from there. So what all are we supposed to make of this exit? Well, first of all, it's not good that somebody is leaving abruptly. That's a bad sign. As many pointed out, there was some very strange. He seemed very disconnected from the business when he and Jim Lee were giving interviews. They were saying things that were directly contradicting what was actually happening in the line at the time. So very, very odd. Just completely odd. Undoubtedly, Discovery is going to remodel aspects of the company and specifically where he was going to be. Everybody who's going to pick up and deal with DC is going to want to increase global footprint, increase media empire, increase tie-ins, increase licensing. They're not going to get in there and say, hey, let's have less limited series and let's not, kill off main characters and let's slow down the variants. Nobody is going to be coming to an executive presentation with that in their deck. But they're definitely going to talk about breaking into China and figuring out how to license Japan and all the rest. So undoubtedly Discovery is going to focus on those things, and we get to, get around all that. There's definitely some very bizarre behavior within DC, where the consistent feedback that keeps coming in is a lot of the senior executives are absolutely checked out. So definitely some of the things that we saw from some of these interviews where, again, Jim Lee's talking about things that are going on in the publishing line that have nothing to do with what's going on in the publishing line. And so the questions has circulated, like, how involved are these people really, or are they involved in any way whatsoever? And where does all that all sit? And I think that's a theme that's going to play out over the next 6 months. I would be entirely unsurprised if some other very big names from senior management exit stage left. The company is at least as part of this process, it spooked people to the point where I think they believe that, it's not a safe ground to sit and veg. And unfortunately, if you look at Marvel and DC, and I think far more at Marvel, the senior leadership is in a rest and vest position. That, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, it means do as little as possible, hide, let your stock options vest, and walk away with as much money as you can when the axe eventually falls. That's how it feels at these companies. Sounds like Cherry got tired of resting and vesting. Who knows? Just didn't feel good about being disconnected. Several people in the company talked about how Cherry would actually read their comics and how surprising that was and how nice it was. Creators who met Cherry talked about how he would talk to them about the books that they were putting out and how amazing that was. And I take two things away from that. Number one, low bar, but okay. Number two, like, who are the people, like, why is this a surprise? Like, you work for a company and people have no idea what's going on with your products. That's weird. But maybe entirely unsurprising from the outside. As far as all the stuff about, there's still people out there who believe that Daniel Cherry was driving every social, ill that was going on in the comic. Well, now he's gone, so everything will revert back to normal, right? Well, no. Probably not. So we can find the new person to be pissed at. We'll see. Interesting news. Black eye for DC, certainly. If it is true that this is somebody who did, quote unquote, walk the halls, I don't know what that exactly means in a COVID world, but at least would connect with creators about stories they're writing, and he was one of the few that was doing that, then that is not a great sign. Putting it mildly. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Crazy day. We'll see what tomorrow holds. Thanks for listening.